native is realizing his goal of becoming a soccer superstar. We'll have the story. Good evening, I'm Alan Marcy.
And I'm Klapper. NBC 24 Action News at 5 starts now.
You're watching Action News at 5 on NBC 24. Live, local, late-breaking.
When Standard & Poor's stripped U.S. Treasuries of the traditional AAA rating Friday, Wall Street was closed at the time. But when the opening bell sounded this morning, it launched a frightening ride.
The Dow ended the day down 635 points, falling below 11,000, the lowest close in more than 10 months. The S&P and NASDAQ also were down nearly 7% each. President Obama slammed the downgrade, but promised Washington would do more to fix the underlying problem of the debt. Steve Handelsman has the latest.
Kira, Alan, thanks. Good evening from Washington, where, looking on the bright side, President Obama said the downgrade that he disputes, plus, by extension, today's down day in the world markets, could help break the deadlock here on Capitol Hill. In his first reaction since Standard & Poor's downgraded U.S. bonds late Friday, President Obama rejected the AA+ rating.
No matter what some agency may say, we've always been and always will be a AAA country.
But U.S. stock markets dropped sickeningly, the Dow losing 5.55%, the S&P 500 6.66%, NASDAQ off 6.9%, the biggest drops in years. Gold was up to an all-time high, $1,700, a sign investors are scared by last week's debt ceiling deal, not big or bold enough.
No one touched entitlement spending. No one fundamentally touched tax reform. And so until Republicans and Democrats show an ounce of backbone and actually do what's in the interest of the American people rather than what's in their own immediate political interests, I can't argue with S&P's conclusion.
The president said the downgrade could spur on new debt talks.
Our problems are imminently solvable, and we know what we have to do to solve them.
That, in turn, today pleased the head of Standard & Poor's.
And it was actually a bit of a renewed sense of urgency that we heard from him was encouraging.
Today, S&P downgraded from AAA to AA+, mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They own or guarantee half of American mortgages. Rates could rise, driving down home values and sales.
The markets, on the other hand, continue to believe our credit status is AAA.
In fact, as investors today dumped stocks, many bought U.S. Treasuries, the same bonds downgraded by S&P, still seen as super safe. Trying to get a debt deal to win U.S. bonds back their coveted AAA rating, President Obama is promising, in the political struggle ahead, to put forth his own specific spending and taxing plans. From Capitol Hill, I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC 24 Action News. Alan, Kira, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. Well, many people here in the North State are also worried about the losses on Wall Street.
Action News reporter Derek Demos spoke with one local business owner who says she tries not to let the harsh headlines get her down because she has a bottom line to look out for.
Schubert's Ice Cream is a Chico household name. The business has survived and thrived in the same location for the last 74 years. But even successful business owners are worried after Standard & Poor's downgraded U.S. credit, a first in American history.
Even as somebody who's been around since 1938, I wouldn't say that we're bulletproof. I don't think anybody is.
The ice cream and candy shop is a family-run business, serving the same homemade products it did decades ago, something the owners attribute to its success. And even though the mom-and-pop shop isn't worried now, if the economy gets worse, changes will have to be made.
When those things happen, you really have to rein in. You have to look at whatever you can cut, look at what you can do without cutting quality and quantity and customer service to your patrons.
It's a balancing process many businesses could be in if the U.S. market doesn't get itself back on track.
I really hope that we can maybe use this to come together and use the scare to come together and actually find a solution and start creating jobs, because if we don't have jobs, we don't have anything.
And while investors keep a wary eye on Wall Street, Schubert's Ice Cream will continue to do what it does best.
We're going to keep trucking and we'll keep going, work longer, work harder, do everything we got to do to keep our customers happy and keep the quality where it needs to be to continue to do what we've done for 74 years.
In Chico, I'm Derek Demo for Action News.
The family-run business has operated for 4 generations. If you're interested in going, it's located on East 7th Street in Chico and is open every night until 10.
An Action News update now on last week's deadly officer-involved shooting in Reading. The body of the man that was killed by officers is still awaiting autopsy. The Shasta County Coroner's Office says they plan to conduct the procedure tomorrow morning. This process should reveal exactly how many times the man was actually shot. The shooting happened Thursday on South Market Street while police were chasing the man during the sting operation. The man shot at police, who then fired back at least 20 times, killing him.
Orland Police Chief Paula Carr's future could soon be decided now that an investigation by the Tehama County Sheriff's Office has concluded. Chief Carr sent a written statement to the media back in June explaining she had borrowed $1,300 from the K-9 fundraising campaign at the Glenn County Fair in order to pay a friend who had bid on a horse for her. But she tells us that she repaid the money the next day when she could make it to the bank. You may recall Carr has since been put on administrative leave. City Manager Paul Posabut says he hopes to have a decision on Chief Carr's employment status by the end of this week.
It's been a deadly 24 hours on North State roadways with 3 crashes claiming 3 lives, 2 from Colusa County. 1 person died early this morning in an accident near Williams. It happened just before 6 a.m. on River Road at Butte Slough Road. CHP says a man was riding his motorcycle south on River Road when he drifted into some gravel, causing his bike to slide through a fence. The man was thrown from the motorcycle and suffered a fatal head injury. His name has not been released. A passenger is killed, a child injured, and a driver arrested on DUI charges after a rollover crash on I-5 north of Williams. CHP officials say just before 6 last night, Angela Bell was driving north on I-5 when she rolled her SUV into the southbound lanes north of Hahn exit. Her passenger was killed. His name has not been released. A 5-year-old suffered major injuries. Bell was taken to the hospital with moderate injuries and charged with driving under the influence. Authorities have identified the pedestrian killed after being struck by a car in Reading Sunday afternoon. She was 52-year-old Susan Allen of Cottonwood. The CHP says 31-year-old Charles Pratt of Reading was driving south on Riverland when he hit Allen. CHP officers arrested Pratt for driving under the influence.
Well, just one more reason why you should not either drink or drive or use drugs and drive. This is a terrible incident, and it's one we'd like to avoid each and every day.
Pratt was booked into the Shasta County Jail. He will likely face charges of felony DUI and vehicular manslaughter.
The bodies of the 30 American troops killed when their helicopter was shot down in Afghanistan will be flown back to the U.S. tomorrow morning. But now their families are speaking out about the loss they've suffered. Chris Klapper has their story.
The common themes emerging from families about the troops killed in Afghanistan over the weekend: patriotic, loving, and loved. Chief Petty Officer Matt Mills of Central Texas was a father of 3 and a Navy SEAL.
He had a lot of love in his heart, and he was proud of his country.
Air Force Tech Sergeant John Brown was a medic for Special Operations.
If there is a comfort in the situation, I'm so proud of my son, so very proud of him.
Aaron Vaughn was a Navy SEAL too, and father of 2, who his wife in Virginia says will take from him a love for Christ and a lot more.
It will take away his strength and his love for this country. And they will know what an amazing man he was.
The 3 were among 30 U.S. troops killed in Afghanistan early Saturday. Their Chinook helicopter was hit by what's believed to have been a rocket-propelled grenade while rushing to assist Army Rangers who had called for help after hitting the compound of a local Taliban leader. It was the deadliest single incident for U.S. forces in the decade-long war and prompted resolve from the president.
We will press on and we will succeed. But now is also a time to reflect on those we lost and the sacrifices of all who served, as well as their families.
Some families of the fallen are making travel plans today. The remains of the 30 U.S. service members are still in Afghanistan, but expected to arrive at the Air Force Base in Dover, Delaware, midday tomorrow. Chris Klapper, NBC 24 Action News.
Well, back here in the North State, after 3 weeks of targeting illegal marijuana grows across 6 counties, Operation Full Court Press has come to a close. Local drug agents teamed up with state and federal agencies over the past several weeks, forming raids on illegal grows in and around the Mendocino National Forest. During the operation, more than 632,000 plants were seized, 132 people were arrested, and officers removed more than 51,000 pounds of trash and 149 pounds of pesticides.
Anderson residents can make their opinions known tonight when city officials hold a public hearing to discuss whether to ban medical marijuana dispensaries. The Planning Commission will review 2 ordinances, one which would regulate dispensaries and the other would ban them within city limits. The hearing is at 7 at City Hall on Howard Street.
That's a new week. Hopefully Chris Kuiper's in a good mood with a good forecast. What do you got for us, Chris?
Well, I got pretty much the same forecast, Alan. It's been a very nice forecast lately, and it looks like it's going to continue for the better part of this week. Temperatures really not changing a whole lot, maybe warming up a little bit as we finish off this week. Current temperatures right now still in the 90s. Another very pleasant afternoon, 92 in Chico and Willows. We've got 94 in Redding and Red Bluff right now. And as we look ahead towards tomorrow, boy, temperatures, again, not changing a whole lot, which I don't know about you, but with me, that's okay. It's been very nice recently. 70 our temperature at 8 o'clock in the morning, warming up into the middle 80s by noontime, still plenty of sunshine. And then as we finish off our day, we'll finish it off, of course, with sunshine and 90s as well. We'll climb our way into the lower and middle 90s around the valley. I'll come back in a bit. We'll talk about that slight warm up by the end of the week, and we'll talk about a big meteor shower happening in the next 7 days as well.
That sounds good. Thanks, Chris. Governor Jerry Brown has signed a new law that will award all of California's 55 electoral college votes to the winner of the nation's popular vote in presidential elections. The movement by a group called National Popular Vote aims to prevent a repeat of the 2000 election when Al Gore won the popular vote, but George W. Bush won the electoral vote. With Brown's signature, California becomes the 8th state to sign on, giving the effort 132 of the 207 electoral votes that are needed to make this take effect. California and most other states currently have winner-take-all systems that give all of the electoral votes to the candidate who wins the most votes in that state.
Some drastic changes could be on the way for the city of Willows. We'll look at proposed cost-saving changes to the police and fire departments as well as other agencies.
New details on Redding's Turtle Bay Hotel project. We'll have an update.
And from Chico State to MLS Pro, we'll look at the success of soccer star Chris Wondolowski when NBC 24 Action News at 5 returns.
You're watching Action News at 5 on NBC 24 with Alan Marsden, Kara Klapper, and AccuWeather with Chief Meteorologist Chris Kuiper.